You could double up one day.
Yeah, we could. I think there will be days where we'll do a few Rashis, and Fridays certainly we could try to sneak in a Shabbos Aliyah as well. But by the way, we also don't do Sundays. So usually Sunday night between Unchamar and Shul, you have a few extra minutes. So I've been doing it there. But some of you will catch that and some of you won't. But I encourage you to continue all the Rashis on your own that we miss in this forum. But today is Monday, and so we will do a Rashi from the second Aliyah. You'll see when we get to Vayikra, it's a little harder to find interesting Rashis, so we may cheat a little bit and do, two from one Aliyah, but we have a ways to go till then. So let me bring this up on my screen. Ready? Okay, here we go. So beautiful transition into Sheni and the second Aliyah in this Parsha, Vayera. So much happens in our Parsha, but we have the idea that Avram and Sarah will have children, have a child, and eventually Hashem comes to tell Avram much about what's going to happen in the destruction of Sodom. And in the midst of that, he says, "Avram hayo yeh legoy gadol ve'atzum v'nivrachu vo kol goy haaretz," a language that's not unfamiliar to us up to this point. Avraham is going to be a great nation, and the people of the earth are going to be blessed through him. And now, in a stunning pasuk, really one of my favorite in the Torah, Hashem tells Avram why he was chosen in specific to carry out this task of being the Goy Gadol, of being v'nivrechu v'cha kol mishpachos haaretz v'zarecha. Why the nations of the land of the world will be blessed through him. Why does he take on this tremendous role? Now, you could question even the statement I just made about Hashem choosing Avraham. After all, we know from the Midrashim, it seems like Avram chooses Hashem. So we could go into a whole shir about that, who chooses who. But one could understand that there's a mutual choice going on here. Avram finds Hashem. Hashem loves that he is found, so to speak, kiviyachol, and Hashem chooses Avram back in that two-way street. And now he explains why. Ki yedativ leman asher yitzaveh et banav et beito acharav v'shamru derech Hashem la'asot tzedakah u'mishvat leman havi Hashem al Avraham et asher diber alav. Why did he choose him? Ki yedativ, I'll explain that in a second, but something about knowing. I know, says Hashem, leman asher yitzaveh et banav et beito acharav. I know there is going to be continuity. I chose Avram not only because he's a superstar, but he's such a superstar that I know that the teachings that I impart, the values that he holds, the beliefs that he has in monotheism will be ones that will be carried through to the next generation. He'll be able to actually influence others, including his own progeny, to be able to follow in this way. And so if I'm going to pick someone to be the heir, to be the carrier of monotheism in the world, I'm not going to pick someone with whom it's going to end in one generation. I'm going to pick someone who has longevity, who's able to reach that level of continuity. So that's why I'm choosing Avraham, because I know he'll pass it on. And once he passes it on, Vishamru derech Hashem, they're all going to keep the way of Hashem. And what is the way of Hashem? La'asat tzedakah u'mishpat, to do justice and righteousness. Leman havi Hashem et al Avraham asher diber alav. So that because they keep the bris, because they keep the covenant, because they'll carry it forward, I know that I will be able to uphold my promises as well to Avram's progeny, to Avram, about all the future things that are supposed to happen to him. It's a beautiful pasuk. We're all about continuity in the Jewish people, and this is the quintessential pasuk of continuity. It's why we were chosen, and in many ways, we've succeeded at being able to fulfill that mandate. The Rashi here is very interesting on ki yedativ, the first words of the pasuk. Ki yedativ. Now, yedativ clearly has something to do with yada, to know. But really, if God was saying, I know that Avram will pass on to the next generation, the pasuk could have said, Ki yadati, I knew, or I know, leman asher yitzaveh et banav. Why does it say ki yedativ? Because I knew him that he will pass on, right? It should have said, I know that he will pass on, not I know him that he will pass on. So Rashi points over here that yedativ, I know him, is lashon chiba. It wasn't God saying, I know that Avram is going to pass on, but rather, I love him because he is going to pass it on. Lashon chiba. And he gives many other examples where ladat, to know, is lashon chiba, places in Ruth, places in Kitisa. We know even from the beginning, from Parshas Bereshis, Adam yada es chava ishto. It's the most intimate form of knowing. Knowing leads to love. And that's exactly what Rashi ends by saying. Amnam ikar kulam eno ela lashon yediah. Even the idea of love is based on the plain meaning of yediah, to know. Shehamechavev es ha'adam mekarvo etzlo v'yodo umakiro. Because after all, when you love a person, you get to know them more and more. And so it leads to yada, to knowledge. So the idea that yada, ladat, to know, is related to love is very obvious to Rashi. The beautiful point over here, I think a nice point about the pasuk and about Avram, ki yadativ. God says, I love him. What I love about him is that I've come to know that he's a person who not only holds these values to be true, but a person who's going to pass them on to the future generation. It makes for a richer pasuk, for a richer expression from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it's also so important for us to understand what Rashi is saying, that knowing leads to loving. Now, we know sometimes when you know a person more, you come to not love them. You come to do the opposite, sometimes when you know too much. But by and large, I think that what Rashi is saying is a prerequisite to coming to love someone is to come to know them. You could say, oh, I love so-and-so, but if all you mean is that you talk to them for 5 minutes and now you love them, that's not true love. Lashon chiba comes from yediyah. The idea that love comes from the greater and greater experience of knowing a person more and more, and vice versa. The more you know, the more you love, and the more you love, the more you want to continue to know. It's a positive cycle of going back and forth between the two, and it's something we should keep in mind as we get to know our loved ones, and we seek to know our loved ones, and we seek to know everybody who's around us to try to get to love them even more. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful day.